Cedric Tillman has been named a sleeper pick of the NFL draft. Yes, Cedric Tillman has been named a sleeper pick of this year's NFL draft. For those who don't remember, Cedric Tillman went to the 3rd round to Cleveland, to the Browns. Please hit that like and subscribe button and share. We greatly appreciate it as we continue to build this audience and build our following as I dive into the Cedric Tillman story. So, SEC defensive coordinator said that Cedric Tillman, quote, has got better hands when comparing him to Jalin Hyatt. He also said Hyatt, when he was wide open, they could use his speed. They did a great job of creating open receivers, but when he had to make contested catches, he struggled. Tillman will do a good job. Those big physical guys do well. He's saying what I've been saying about Tillman for a while, which is Josh Heupel's offense, for those who don't know, it schemes people like Jalin Hyatt wide open. Open to a level they will never be in the NFL. So the question is, how can you handle passes and coverage? Cedric Tillman has a pretty good history at Tennessee of winning a lot of 50-50 balls and winning one-on-one coverages with people. And, I mean, that touchdown he had against Pittsburgh, a very clutch touchdown in overtime to secure the win for Tennessee, that was one-on-one coverage. He was well covered, and he made the play. Cedric Tillman can make those plays. We haven't seen Jalin Hyatt do anything but be schemed open with his speed by Josh Heupel. So I fully agree with this SEC defensive coordinator, whoever he may be. A Power 5 coordinator added his route tree's bigger. He's just gotten more to offer. So, yes, it seems like a lot of this love for Cedric Tillman was more about taking a shot at Jalin Hyatt. I understand that, but I have to say at the same time, there's a lot of truth to that. I've said from the start, if anybody is overrated in this draft, it was Jalin Hyatt, and Cedric Tillman has a much better chance of succeeding. Now, the one thing that is holding Cedric Tillman back is the most incompetent person in the history of the world is running the Cleveland Browns franchise. That would be Jimmy Haslam. Ask any Tennessee football fan about it. My condolences to the Milwaukee Bucks for being run by Jimmy Haslam. This man is just a failure at everything, and he can't do anything right. And as long as he's running the Browns, he won't do anything right. However, as just a pure receiver, Cedric Tillman has legitimate talent. There's just no way around it. Cedric Tillman is a great route runner. One of the biggest steals you will ever see on the recruiting trail, by the way. There was a 2-star coming out of Vegas. And this kind of gets to a point that we got to talk about with some of the production from Tennessee the past 2 years. You got to give a lot of credit to Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, he found and scouted guys, and Cedric Tillman was one of those guys. So major props to Cedric Tillman on that. Or to Jeremy Pruitt on that, excuse me. Cedric Tillman was a steal. He took the job from Mel Keaton. You have to give credit for something like that. So I'm willing to do that. And at the same time, I think Cedric Tillman deserves credit for how he has performed on his own, because Cedric Tillman, again, before Jalin Hyatt, that was Hooker's go-to guy. And he could rely on Tillman to do a lot more, whereas, again, Heupel had to scheme Hyatt open. And even and don't forget this, guys. Let's look at something like last year's Alabama game, the final drive, where Hooker has to get to field goal range within 15 seconds. If you remember, he threw it to Brew McCoy and Ramel Keaton, not Jalin Hyatt. Why was that? Because Alabama knew what Tennessee was going to try to do, and you need receivers who can make those plays when the defenses know what you're trying to do. Jalin Hyatt is not that. Jalin Hyatt is, again, a guy you scheme open in different ways and who's got the speed to do it. What Brew McCoy and Ramel Keaton did on those catches is what Cedric Tillman consistently did. So Cedric Tillman is a much better receiver prospect. I've been saying that for years. I'm going to continue to say that because it's just hard to disagree with that fact. So I think long-term you will see Cedric Tillman have more success in the NFL than Jalin Hyatt. But that is dependent somewhat, and I will say somewhat, on the system. Cedric Tillman getting this type of love follows Hendon Hooker being Matt Miller's favorite pick in the NFL draft. Remember Hendon Hooker went to the Detroit Lions. I will say Hooker being Matt Miller's favorite pick, Cedric Tillman being a sleeper candidate in the NFL draft based on what different coaches say. By the way, this was Adam Rittenberg of ESPN who named Tillman a sleeper pick. Seems like the guys from Tennessee getting love in the draft are the ones that are going to the most notoriously incompetent franchises of the past 30 years. Cleveland, Detroit. Dave Hooker has written extensively and spoken extensively on how he thinks Hooker should refuse to play in Detroit. I disagree. I think Detroit's a totally different situation and franchise than it was 10 years ago, but I understand where he's coming from. And yeah, you kind of feel bad for guys like Tillman and Hooker that could have this level of potential that go to these franchises. But the nature of the NFL is the better you are, typically the worse teams you end up with because you're asked to save teams and franchises. So we'll see how that goes. But I will just say that I think that anybody who watched Hooker to Tillman in 2021 and then Hooker to Hyatt in 2022 would realize that Hendon Hooker, the throws were him, yes, but when the completions to Tillman were a lot more about the plays they made on the field as opposed to the plays Josh Heupel called. And that translates well to the NFL. He did it against Alabama in 2021. Again, he did it against Pittsburgh in 2022. There's just a lot to like about it. According to Rittenberg, by the way, speaking of Hooker, an SEC offensive coordinator thought Will Levis going ahead of Tennessee's Hendon Hooker was, quote, shocking. Hooker fell to the third round. The Titans traded up to get Levis in the second round. I absolutely agree. It was shocking to me, but it's something that you probably could see coming because Mel Kiper was just screaming Will Levis and basically spoke him into a high second rounder. It was crazy. He almost was a first rounder. It would have been crazy if he would have drafted them. You know how I feel. I am a Titans fan. I am beyond angry that they drafted Will Levis. I just don't know what people see in him. Mr. Jones jumped in. I want a shirt. LOL. Okay, Mr. Jones. I will make sure that Dave gets you one. I'm going to email him after that it was you and D. Y'all both get shirts. I can tell you that. Congratulations for being the second one to comment. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you guys. Everybody on the chat board, give me your thoughts on Tillman. I need all the help I can get today without Dave Hooker. Mr. Jones says Rand Carthen is a Gator. I mean, look, Mr. Jones, the Titans, the year they went to the Super Bowl, though, was with the help of a Gator and Javon Curse. So I wouldn't find him being somebody who would want to undercut the Titans with the move. I would say that maybe he has it out for Hendon Hooker, if the idea of him being a Gator has something to do with that. I would just say that they had no blueprint on who they wanted to draft it and how they wanted to draft in this draft. Their method made no sense. You can't expect a Gator to make good decisions for Tennessee team. Okay, I'm going to push back. Mr. Jones, one of the greatest football coaches in Tennessee history, is Doug Dickey, a Florida graduate. He won 2 SEC titles in 3 years, a retroactive national title in 1967, revitalized the program after it fell apart because they stayed committed to the single wing for way too long. So you can expect the Gator to make good decisions for Tennessee. We got to be fair on that now. And then Doug Dickey did make the move to hire Philip Fulmer and fire Johnny Majors. Whether or not you agree with that, you do with that information what you want. But Tennessee did win a national title when they hired Fulmer. As far as basketball, yeah, men's basketball. Now that is where a Gator and Doug Dickey made every bad decision possible, from Wade Houston to Jerry Green to Don DeVoe. Yeah, but Doug Dickey was an athletic director too, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones says that's a coach, not a GM. Doug Dickey was Tennessee's athletic director. That's what I'm saying. He did make the move from Majors to Fulmer. Now, again, take with that what you will. Fulmer won a national title. Majors didn't, but there are a lot of people that think that was the wrong move. That's, again, a debate that we can rehash another time, but it's an intriguing one. Personnel and play calls are two different things. I agree. I'm just saying, Mr. Jones. I'm just saying. Not all Gators. I don't think Rand Carthen has it against the Titans. I just don't think he's a good GM. I don't think they should have hired John Robinson, if I'm being honest with you. So portions of the program are brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. It's local. They care about you. They have everything you could ask for in terms of vision care, including cataract surgery and your annual vision checkups. So Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, please go check them out. Going on from the two big spring stories always in football are the NFL draft and spring practice. I mean, for college football, because there's also free agency.